Hello, my lovelies. It's Janet Perez with the Painted Saguaro, and thanks for joining me. Today, I am with Paint Couture, and I'm showing you how I rejuvenated this old vintage cabinet that was really in horrible shape. It was filthy. It took me 3 days just to get it to the point where I could get this paint put on it. So sit back and watch me take it from drab to fab. I first created those little molds that you see in white there using the Capital Crafts resin, which is a quick set resin by Paint Couture, and glued those on using the Type Bond wood glue. And then I painted it with this custom color that I love so much, which I make using Madagascar mocha, some of our iron oxide liquid pigment, and some firelight, which is that bright orange color that we have. And I do about a 50-50 mix of the Madagascar mocha and the firelight, and then probably about a half a teaspoon of the iron oxide in there to make this really great kind of rusty clay colored brown. And now what I'm putting on is the duck egg blue, and then I'm adding peacock here, and I'm just going to do sort of a blend on the doors. This piece was in such horrible shape. I really had initially thought that I wanted to just refurbish it and not paint it when I first saw it on Marketplace. But when I got it home, it was in really rough condition. It was missing trim, molding. It was bad, so I had to paint it. Sorry, guys, for those of you who love natural wood. I do too, and on the right pieces, but we don't get those right pieces for as low cost as we do if they were in great shape. So anyway, the right side of this was actually locked, and I had to order some keys off of Amazon. So if you ever come across that, that's a good pointer. You can find sets of Amazon keys or skeleton keys on Amazon for really relatively inexpensive. I think I paid $12 or $13 for a set of 12 keys, and one of them actually fit the lock on the right side, so I could get that unlocked and actually access the cabinets and get it unlocked. So just a little pointer there. Here I'm adding midnight blue. So what I'm doing is I'm using just plain water here mostly, and then I'm also spritzing with a little bit of vinegar water at times to help sort of move that paint and keep it wet and keep it moving. I love how the midnight blue just sort of deepens and enriches that peacock blue, which is that teal blue. And you'll notice too, because I am using so much water and so much vinegar water on this piece, I'm making sure that I'm opening that cabinet door frequently and wiping up the excess water, because I don't want it to pool inside of the piece, and I don't want it to, create a stain on the inside, because I'm leaving the inside completely natural, because it's really in good shape on the inside. So I'm just doing a blend here. I'm, like I said, exposing that clay color beneath a little bit, and that's the purpose of that. I wanted it to kind of have the effect of wood popping through. And then with that duck egg color, that lighter color, it's sort of where the light hits the piece, so it's an effect that you're creating by creating this look. That big brush right there, that is a large Klingon brush, and I love that for blending. It works really beautifully for that, and I will reference that in the notes on this piece later. But you'll see I'm just kind of pulling that dark midnight blue down, and you'll see you have to kind of agree with me. It really just kind of adds a little bit more mystery and interest to the teal blue of the peacock, I feel. So I just continue to work this, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the other side as well. And whenever you see that small bottle, that is just plain water. And then when you see that bigger bottle in my left hand, that is the vinegar water, which is a 50-50 blend of white vinegar or distilled vinegar or household cleaning vinegar, however you want to call it. You can pick it up at Walmart, you can pick it up at Home Depot or wherever, and water. And I always use bottled water. I don't use tap water, especially because here where I live, the water here is very hard and it is loaded with chlorine and stuff. And I don't want that mixing with my paint, and I don't want it getting into on my piece because it will affect how my paint adheres as well. So as I said, I'm doing the same effect to the right side of this piece and just kind of working it and getting that blend going. And then you'll see that I get that kind of drippy effect from the center. I want that drippy effect. So just kind of watch this for a couple of seconds and see how I continue to work it. And then we're going to go on to the next step. Again, you just keep working it until you're happy with it. As I say in all of my videos, you are the artist, and when you feel that it's done to your liking, that's when you put down the brush and you say, that's enough and I'm done. There's no right, there's no wrong. It's what you feel is good. You can see on the right side, you can see those brush strokes of the duck egg color. And of course, that's going to go away in just a second. I'm adding the dark midnight blue to the shadows to create that shadow effect in the ridges of this piece. And then, of course, I'm spritzing even more. And then you'll see that I do another effect here in just a second where I use that mister bottle and add some paint to it and dilute the paint with the mister bottle to add a different effect. And I do 2 different colors with that mister bottle. Now see, that's the vinegar water right there that I'm putting on. And what the vinegar water does is it just sort of breaks down the paint in a different way, in a different manner than just plain water does. It's hard to describe. You kind of have to experience it for yourself to really understand. But it definitely gives it a different effect. So here I'm just adding a little bit of that duck egg blue to those resin pieces there just to kind of draw them out. I'm going to go and do a different highlight to them in a few minutes, but I just want to kind of make them pop a little bit better before I do the next step to those. Now you can see the drip effect coming into effect. I want this piece to look as old and battered, but not broken the way that it was when I received it. But I do want it to look aged and weathered and just like it's been around for a really long time. And that's the effect I'm going for here. And you can't really see it on camera here. You'll be able to see it in the final pictures. But this piece also has some really beautiful trim around the edges. On the inside, you can see those little dots sort of. So what I'm going to be doing is highlighting those as well with some of our wonderful metallic paint in a short minute. So you can see there I got that right side unlocked, yay, between last time and this time when I got that done. My husband actually helped me with that, bless his heart. And you can see those drips. I'm happy with those drips. I want those drips. I want this just to look like it's just been out there forever, aging and just getting all the weather on it. And I'm really happy with how this is turning out. But again, I don't want that water pooling on the wood. So whenever you use water on a piece, you want to make sure that you're not letting water stand on the piece, because wood and water, it will warp it, and you don't want that to happen. So here I'm putting some of the duck egg blue along that entire trim area. And now here what I've got is I've got the duck egg blue, and I'm just putting maybe a half a teaspoon of the duck egg blue into my water mister container, and probably about a fifth of a bottle of water in there. And I'm shaking it up really well, and then I'm just going to kind of spray that on there. And don't get, it looks really horrible before it looks kind of cool. So don't get too freaked out here when you see this, because this isn't how it's going to look when it's done. But I just wanted to sort of get more of an effect on here. And when you're painting a creative piece like this, it's a lot of experimentation as well. And, try different things, because it is just paint. And if you want to try something and it doesn't work, you can cover it up with more paint. It's not like it's the end of the world. And because this is so watered down, if I didn't like it, I could just spritz plain water over it and wipe it back, and it would be no big deal. But unless you try something that you've never tried before, you're not going to know whether you like it or not, right? But I'm happy with this effect. It just gives it that extra little push. And you'll see I do the rust, the clay color on top of this to just add another dimension, another layer in the same effect. So I go and after I rinse the bottle out, after doing this layer, I'm going to rinse the bottle out, clean it really well, make sure that I get all of the paint water out of the hose of it and out of the nozzle. And then I'm going to, add the same amount of paint, the same amount of water, and put that in my mister bottle and do the same sort of thing, but probably not quite as much, you'll notice, because it's a darker color and I don't want to overdo it. But you can see, so there I go. So I've got the iron oxide, and I'm just kind of spraying that on with the water. Actually, what I did is I used the iron oxide liquid pigment. I used a little bit of pigment extender and water is what I used. And I wanted it to, as you can see here, I did it on the corners to sort of make it look like it was rusting away a little bit. And then I did it up higher as well, and like in the places where it would be rusting downward. And then I'm using my chip brush to sort of work it in and blend it out a little bit. And you guys know that my chip brush is my favorite tool sometimes, so it works really well for me. They're an inexpensive tool. You don't have to go and invest a whole bunch of money in a bunch of tools when you first start painting furniture. And I've been doing this a long time, and the chip brush is still one of my favorite go-tos when I'm painting a piece of furniture. But you see, I kind of pull the paint up here to make it look like it's dripping down, and then let it drip back down. And I go over those keyholes, which the hardware is going to go back on after everything's said and done, but I want to make sure that it just looks aged. You also want to think about like where the touch spots are on a cabinet door, and you want to make those look more aged as well. So you want to make sure that you're kind of, the wear spots, the worn spots, not wear, W-H-E-R-E, but wear, W-E-A-R. So you can see there where the brown, the iron oxide has kind of aged the piece out even more. And I'm really loving how this is turning out. It's my new favorite piece, you guys, although every piece I do tends to turn into my new favorite piece until the next one I do. I have so much fun doing this, and I really enjoy it. So I hope you enjoy watching it, and I hope you always learn something when I share my work with you. It's my goal anyway. So you can see I'm adding some more of the iron oxide mixed with the pigment extender down at the bottom. And then just spritzing it back a little bit. Working it in with that chip brush. And we're almost done with this part. And you can see those drips still from the duck egg on the center of those cabinets. And I love that look on this. Like I said, most pieces I don't like drips on, but this piece, it really just works because it's just such a raunchy old looking piece. That's exactly what I was going for. So this is the French gold metallic, and what I'm doing is I'm going on every single one of those little button trim pieces, and I'm painting it with the French gold. If you've never tried any of the Paint Couture metallics, our metallics are so deeply pigmented and so rich. I've tried probably every brand of metallic out there in the industry, and these are by far the richest and the best one coat finish, and it's beautiful. So what I did on the top, and I didn't record the staining of the top, but I mixed a little bit of espresso with water, and I did a paint wash on the top. So I sanded it down and I stripped it. And now what I'm doing is I'm adding some of our hemp oil. So you just put a coat of hemp oil on, and again, I'm using my chip brush, and I'm just putting a nice even layer of hemp oil on there, and you let it sit for about 20 minutes. Just let it soak into the wood. And then after 20 minutes, you wipe it back, and it finishes in a super rock hard finish, and it seals your wood beautifully. You want to kind of buff it out after you've wiped it back, and you don't need to top coat it. This is your top coat. Hemp oil is a fabulous, if you've got natural wood or if you've got a wood stain, hemp oil is a great way to finish your wood. So here what I'm doing is I'm using a little bit of glaze. And what I did was I mixed some of our clear glaze with espresso paint. And I am just working it into all the details because I just wanted to age that out a little bit too, because the French gold, as beautiful as it is, just looked a little too new to me for this raunchy old rustic piece. So I'm just working that into all of the little cracks and crevices, and then I'm wiping it back, but I'm not wiping too hard because I want to leave it down in there, but I wanted to make sure that I got it wiped off of, the overspill. So there's the before and there's the after. And I did the French gold on the feet, on the ball feet. I did the French gold on the hardware. That's the original hardware. And I love this piece. I think it turned out beautifully. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Let me know in the comments, and I will see you next time. Thanks for joining me.